Hi beautiful souls, welcome to my channel Elle's Temple. My name is Elle, I'm a goddess guide and intuitive tarot reader. Welcome back to my returning viewers, welcome if you're new here. I'm so happy to have you all here. I hope you guys are all doing well wherever you are in the world. So it's been a hot minute since I have been able to put a video out on YouTube. I'm so sorry about that. I hope to return to a slightly more regular schedule very soon. It's been a very busy month and I've got a lot going on at the moment, a lot I'm planning, which is going to be very exciting. I'm going to be announcing it all very soon. So for now though, get on my newsletter if you're not already a subscriber, because I'm going to be announcing some very exciting launches coming up. And if you're a subscriber of my newsletter, you'll get the first news about that, and also you get exclusive discounts to any of my programs and things. So yeah, my Moon Temple membership is going through a huge overhaul, so I'm going to be announcing about that really soon. And also I'm going to be launching a Dark Goddess Circle coming up, so super excited about that. It launches at Samhain this year. So if you're interested at all in that, if you go onto my website ellstemple.com, there is a link there and you can sign up to my newsletter at that link, or even just when it pops up when you go onto the page. It doesn't matter where you sign up, it will still mean you'll get signed up to my newsletter. So don't worry about that. Whichever page you land on, it's cool. You can just pop your name and email address in there, and then you'll get all the news as soon as it goes live, as soon as I've got the page together ready for you guys about all the goddesses we're going to be working with. So super excited to launch that. So keep an eye out, check out my website if you're at all interested in that. It means you'll hear all the news about it as soon as it goes live. But for now, for today's reading, we have got the beautiful Goddess Epona, who is the she is the Roman Gallo goddess of horses and wise leadership and guidance, and she's also a goddess of empowerment and initiation. And she can help us to really like move towards our goals, right? It's that very like driven, ambitious, almost, you know, like that horse energy. It kind of gives me Sagittarius vibes a little bit as well, with the like centaur or the kind of horse, like just that, you know, energy of kind of moving towards, you know, our higher selves, connecting in with like, you know, wanting to expand ourselves, wanting to, you know, step into like our next level. So Goddess Epona is a really good goddess to work with if you're being called to that, if you've been called into stepping into any form of leadership. And I just want to put a quick disclaimer about leadership, because I know for some people the term can be a little bit loaded, or it can have certain connotations, right, from our conditioning, from our culture. Very often, you know, being a leader can get associated in with, you know, kind of hierarchical leadership, you know, being like a leader of a Fortune 500 company. And I often talk about this on my channel. It's come up before in previous readings. So I feel like there's a few of you out there who are being called to step into being a leader in some way, but, you know, we're all looking at different models of that, right? Different ways that can be expressed. You know, we can be leaders within our community, we can be leaders within our workplace without necessarily being a boss. We can, you know, or like the CEO. We can be a leader within, you know, the type of work we do. Like even say if you're called to do something like this, or be, you know, give guidance in some way, it's like you can be a leader in that kind of field, if you like, or within your particular niche or something, without necessarily having like loads of staff under you reporting to you, or, you know, that kind of thing, or like have a massive company. Like you can still kind of step into that role of leading others or being an inspiration to others. Goddess Epona is also a good goddess to work with for, you know, stepping into being an inspiration for others, being in a position where you can give wise guidance to others. You know, that is really what she is about. So, you know, it's definitely something that even if you feel resistance to the traditional way leadership is often modeled in our culture and our society, that is okay. Like we're not here to necessarily buy into that. I mean, for sure, if that is the type of leadership, 100%, like go nuts, go for it, like do it. But it's just to say, if that's not something you aspire to, but you're feeling like this reading might be for you, then that could be why. It's that there are other forms of leadership, other ways it can be expressed, other ways it can be modeled, other ways it can be embodied. You know, we can all step into our light, we can all step into being more visible, being more, you know, showing up for our purpose, you know, putting ourselves out in the world in deeper ways, in more impactful ways, in bigger ways, without necessarily kind of ever, you know, managing anyone else or kind of running a huge company or anything like that. Or even necessarily making a ton of money, you know, not to say that you can't, of course, if that's on your soul's path and that's something you want to manifest, by all means, you definitely can. It's just to also say that those two things don't have to necessarily go hand in hand always. Sometimes the people with the biggest impact are people who don't necessarily, you know, they're not necessarily seeking out like fame and fortune. They're not like, you know, kind of social media influencers. They're just out there in the world doing their thing and being an incredible model of inspiration for other people, and like really modeling their power, their authenticity, their gifts, really embodying them, really standing in them in a really powerful way. And, you know, it might mean that they are respected and well known in their community or in, you know, even within their city or their country or something, but it may not mean they ever, you know, reach global fame or anything like that necessarily. So just to kind of put that out there, if you're kind of evolving, working towards an evolved notion of leadership, if you're feeling called to kind of step up in some way, but don't necessarily know how that might pan out, how it might play out for you, you know, perhaps it's something that you're here to explore and to create your own vision of what leadership is. What would you like to see? What type of leader would you like? Maybe it's something that there were leaders within, you know, politics or your schooling or education or various realms that you're not really, you don't really feel super like jazzed about that style of leadership, or, you know, you're not super like aligned with that, you know, being a leader in any of those fields or the types of the way leadership gets expressed in a lot of those fields. And that's okay. Like maybe you're here to explore that and kind of look at, you know, could you be here to step into offering a different model of leadership or something like that. So yeah, play around with the concept of leadership, see what this reading brings up, and yeah, feel free to comment below. I'd love to hear your position on this, where you feel you stand with it, if you feel called towards this. I've set the intention that this reading go out to all who feel called to, or all of you who are born to step into leadership in some way, some form in this lifetime. So super excited to get into this. I have pre-pulled your cards. So to introduce the piles, we have got for pile number 1, card number 27, the companion. If you're drawn to the companion card, then you will be pile number 1. And timestamps will be in the description box below. As always, if you're drawn to card number 8, the Veil Walker, you'll be pile number 2. And if you are drawn to card number 2 with the Priestess, you will be pile number 3. Okay, my loves, so pause the video if you need a little bit more time to choose which pile is most drawing you in. Otherwise, I will see you in your pile. Hi there, pile number 1. If you chose the companion card, card number 27, this will be your reading on You Were Born to Be a Leader. Okay, so I'm going to start with some channel messages that are coming through from this card, and then we'll move on to your other oracle cards that I've pre-pulled to get a bit more of a picture. So what's coming through with this companion energy, I feel like for you, pile number 1, you are that friend that people can always turn to. You are that friend, that companion, that support system for others, where when anything goes wrong, particularly emotionally, psychologically, anything like that, you know, I'm just hearing like people, if they're having any kind of like sort of meltdowns or stress or like a marital issue or just whatever it is, you are that friend that people can turn to. You are that companion. You know, this particular this is from the Compendium of Witches deck, and this particular witch, she was someone who, she was a little bit like slightly feared but also very respected in her community, and people would come to see her to seek her advice. So I feel like you are that person for people, where people come and seek your advice, people come and seek your counsel, people come and seek your opinion on things when they're going through stuff, right? And you're kind of like I'm hearing you're like that mum friend. You're kind of just the friend that's just always there for people, no matter what they're going through. They can turn to you and get, you know, some support. They can get some advice, like practical advice, but also like I'm hearing like kind of mentorship. Like it's like you mentor them through what they need to do So it could be, I'm kind of getting the vibe of someone who maybe is trained as a counselor, or even if you're not formally trained or certified or whatever, it's like a lot of people maybe tell you that's the sort of thing you could do, or you have the nature of someone who's really good at just counseling people through stuff. It's like you have a gift for that. You have a gift for kind of holding space for people. I kind of get the vibe almost that people are like, you're better than my counselor. Like maybe people who've gone through, like they've gone to therapy, they've gone to a counselor, they've paid other people for that kind of service, and then actually they come to you because you're so much better than, you know, a professional in some ways, because you just get them. You get people, you're just very, very intuitive, also very grounded. I'm getting this very solid, very grounded energy, very stable, like source of support for people. And I'm kind of also getting that, like, some of you may not feel like you are like that. Like you don't necessarily feel like that for yourself, but you just are this person for other people. It's like that's how other people see you. And people just, I'm getting a picture of like people always knowing that they can like rely on you no matter what's going on in their lives. I'm hearing something about boundaries. Maybe for some of you this is something you struggle with a little bit, where like people might just always expect this from you. And I guess what I'm seeing is perhaps this is why you're being called to step into being a leader in some way, and like kind of formalize these skills perhaps a little bit, because people are like seeking out your advice and your counsel and wisdom from you, and like getting support from you and all of this. And it's kind of like you're just maybe doing this very naturally, and that's lovely and really beautiful and really supportive. And, you know, for certain people in your life, like that is, you know, a lovely thing to do, and that is part of, you know, your meaning of friendship and all of that. But I feel like maybe this is going beyond that, where like you're kind of giving away professional skills in a way, like you're giving, you know, almost like therapeutic skills, or like counseling, or like you know, even just holding space for people's stuff that they're going through. It's like, and it's not necessarily something that always gets reciprocated from the other side, and that's okay. Sometimes these things can't be reciprocated from the same person, right? Like sometimes it's not going to be a direct exchange for exchange. But having said that, it's like these natural skills that you have, this natural affinity you have for being this kind of companion, this like true friend, this true support system, this like person that people can turn to for advice, is like something that you can do for money, is what I'm hearing. Like something you can do for, it's not to say you would then just like automatically stop doing it for your friends, and you would just like every time a friend dropped in for a cup of tea or something, you're like, okay, I'm going to charge you £50 for that now, or whatever. But you know, it's kind of like maybe starting to discern between where being a friend and like offering a certain level of companionship and support versus being someone's counselor or kind of therapist, or kind of like giving advice that kind of goes beyond, you know, because it's sort of coming from various skills that you've accrued in your own life. And that could just be, you know, again, this doesn't have to be you formally qualified and stuff. It's like kind of, I'm hearing like the school of life, right? Like you've just gone through a lot maybe in your own life, so you've reached a certain level of wisdom and people are like turning to you. I'm kind of getting like Cheryl Strayed vibes, like when she was doing the Dear Sugar column, like she'd gone through so much by that point. And so, and even though her life was still a little bit chaotic at that point, like I think she was already married and she had her kids, but yeah, she was still in a little bit of chaos, or sort of finding stability a wee bit at that stage. She was doing the Dear Sugar podcast or radio spot or whatever it was, and people were writing in about their issues, and she was giving advice. I don't believe she got paid for it initially. I think it was just a voluntary thing, but I mean, it ended up getting turned into a book, and like now she's, you know, obviously she's really well known and everything, so it kind of led to things later on down the track. So I guess all of that to say that there's something about using your talents in some way, like stepping into, like taking this natural skill that you have and stepping up a level. Like, and it could be that even you do something voluntarily initially and then it maybe gets turned into something down the track, or it could be that you start to like you know, formalize these skills in some way. Maybe, yeah, you have been told by a lot of people you should be a counselor, and it's like, okay, yeah, enough people told me this now. I'm kind of feeling it's time. Let's get the certification and then kind of, you know, put this out there. And then if people come and see you for advice, it's like you can discern how much advice you give them that's kind of just standard friendship versus like, okay, this is now kind of tipping into like me really holding space for like trauma unpacking here or something like that, right? And it's like, this is something that is going to be something I would do in a session with someone, sort of thing. And it's like you can kind of create those boundaries a little bit better, and support yourself in the process. You know, I don't know what you already do. It may be that you have a completely different job and you have this nature where you're being like this on the side to everyone. And it's not to say, it's not to say that you would completely change your career, though that may happen over time, but there's something about kind of like just not giving it away for free and starting to step into being like formally recognized as this person who can like hold space for people and give advice and be, you know, kind of a source of support within your community through some kind of formal position. It may even be like being what is that thing called when you're in a school and you're like is it like a chaplain or something like that, which can sometimes be associated with it can have a religious connotation, but I have a friend who does it in a school in the UK, and it's not religious, it's called that for some reason, but it's kind of just being like a mentor for students, like a support for students. And she's not qualified as a therapist or anything. She was a teacher's assistant, and then she got called to step into this position. She got offered it because they saw that she was like this companion to kids. And that could be another thing. The figure in this card looks quite young, and so it could be that you're quite young yourself, but you may be an old soul, or you have a connection with young people. You're very good with young people. You are kind of that friend, like that you know, it's like you get young people maybe, or you can relate to people of all ages or something along those lines, or like you know, you can be a good support system for teenagers because they're more likely to open up to you than like their mom or their dad or whatever, because like you're more like a friend to them, like you're more cool maybe, or whatever it is. It's kind of like there's something for some of you that may not be for all of you, but for some of you, if you already know that, right, like you would know if that resonates, if you may already work with young people or feel called to kind of step up into working with young people more. You know, maybe you have been doing something like being a teaching assistant, and now you're like, yeah, actually I want to kind of help young people more than just in the classroom with academic side of things. I want to be their support system, like they're coming to me for advice. It's the kind of thing where some group of people, whether it's your friends, whether it's students, whether it's strangers on the bus, or you know, whatever it might be, people are coming to you. It's like you're like this beacon, and they know they can go to you and trust you, and they can get advice from you, and they're already doing it. And it's kind of like, how can you set a bit of a boundary around that so that you're not completely giving it away, that gift, and maybe formalizing it into some, whether it's getting certified, stepping up into a certain position, like with the school thing, becoming like a mentor or something in a school, like a guide for children or something like that, like mental health support system, you know, whatever it is. It'll be different in all countries, right? That kind of thing. And it will be different, you know, in some schools, if it's religious or if it's a spiritual thing, it could be doing it in a spiritual capacity, in a religious capacity. Just, you know, and if it's a state school, it's just maybe doing it more in a like, more neutral capacity, I guess. Keep knocking this crystal over. Let's get into your other cards. So we have got Stone Circle with a Sacred Landscape. Beautiful. Card number 14. We've got Held, Sureness of the Soil, Unseen Help, Support, and Community. Your community is really sticking out. There's something about being like a leader in your community, and you've got the supportive community around you. We've got Lakshmi with abundance. Yeah, there's that money. Sharing this gift, being this sort of companion for people, this friend, but receiving abundance from it, opening to receiving abundance from it. Let me just see if that's all. No, not quite in the shot. There we go. We have got Magician in the Mirror, card number 53, and we have got Security. Beautiful. Okay. So I actually feel called to go straight to reading from the guidebook about this abundance card, because there's something in here about honoring your gifts and like recognizing them as gifts. If you blame the world for withholding its treasure from you, try turning that thought around. What are you withholding from the world? As counterintuitive as it may seem, true abundance comes only to those who are unstinting in their largesse. Just as abundance nourishes you, you are here to nourish abundance. If you suffer from scarcity consciousness, the belief that you are neither good enough nor have enough, it is time to treasure your inner assets. Yeah, it's this bit. It's time to treasure your inner assets. Abundance is a realization that what you have is enough. Rather than obsessing on attracting more for yourself, think about what you can liberally give away: attention, support, goodwill, love. Don't obstruct the flow of wealth. Make it your aim to give more than you take, and know that what is yours will come to you. Blessings are ever flowering, but only those with ample hearts appreciate the devotion behind Lakshmi's providential petals. Yeah, particularly that bit about treasuring your inner assets is coming through really strongly. And like the part also about if you blame the world for withholding its treasure, try turning that thought around. What are you withholding from the world? So it's like this ability to be a support system for others. We've got support there with the held. It's like this is something you do for others, and in turn Spirit is doing it for you. It's like you're meant to be that support system. You're meant to create community around you. You're meant to kind of offer that companionship, that support, that advice to other people. I know the guidance from this book was talking about, think about what you can liberally give away: attention, support, goodwill, love, and don't obstruct the flow of wealth. But I feel like you already are doing that. I feel like you already are giving away your gift already. But what you're not maybe doing, for some of you, is realizing that that is a gift, and that what you have is enough, without necessarily needing anything else, without necessarily needing like more training, more qualifications, more certifications, more this and that. This, I'm picking up on someone, this could be literally one person, or it might be a few of you, you know, maybe on a spectrum here, where you have a lot of wisdom. You are this kind of, you know that you're the source of support for people. People tend to automatically come to you for advice and things like that, but you don't feel like those treasures that are within you are enough. And so you're kind of running around on the outside feeling like you need to do a lot to, it's like I'm hearing qualified up to the hilt. It's like you're doing maybe course after course, or training after training, or more and more certifications, or like more and more learning even, and you don't need that in order to like share your treasures with the world. It's like you can already come out into the world in some way, and you'll be called as to how to do that, and that'll be different, completely different for all of you, depending on like what your field is. Like I said, for some of you it might be working with young people. For others of you it might be setting up your own client practice. For some of you it might be creating a community group, like starting your own community project or community initiative, just creating community around you, whether it's online or in person, or stepping into leadership within a community you're already part of. It could play out in different ways for all of you, but there's something around kind of really seeing those gifts where people are coming to you for advice, seeing that as an actual gift, as an actual treasure, is something that you can bring out into the world even more, like really acknowledging that it is an actual gift. It's like you are enough as you are. You don't necessarily need more titles or training or education or anything. Maybe for some of you, you've had, like I said, you've had that like school of life education, like, so your wisdom is coming from more actual experience rather than like from schooling, which is the best type, right? Like, I don't know if any of you have ever been to an actual therapist for anything, or counselor or whatever. It's like you want to go to someone who's actually experienced the stuff you've gone through, or at least has a huge amount of empathy and they've gone through something in their life, versus some, like, I don't know, young person who's gone through like all the qualifications at school and university and done really, really well in them and got, you know, whatever, A star or something, but they've gone through nothing in their lives. They've had a very privileged upbringing, very supportive parents, nothing's happened to them. They've got a supportive partner, like everything's hunky-dory, and they've not gone through a single issue. And so everything, all their whole understanding of doing this type of work is from a book. Like, it's from what they've been taught, and they're kind of very rote, you know, it's like they rote learned stuff, they've rote learned responses, they're very like mechanical in their approach or something, very like by the book. And it's like, if you've ever had sort of any type of session with someone like that, you know that like, it's hard to be vulnerable with that type of energy, because it's like this, you can tell like this person hasn't gone through anything, like they're not speaking from lived experience. Whereas I feel like for you, part one, for most of you anyway, most of you, either you've got so much lived experience and wisdom, even if you're quite young, I feel like you've still gone through stuff in your life, and that's enough. You don't necessarily need the like formal education, unless of course the thing that you're doing, you know, it might be that if you are wanting to actually be something like a therapist or a counselor formally, that yes, wherever you live in the world, there might be certain qualifications necessary. However, like I said, with the example of Cheryl Strayed, it might be that you still work in that kind of field loosely, that kind of capacity, without getting formally qualified, and that you find yourself in some position where you're giving advice to people without needing to go through a whole bunch of schooling next or something. It's like you can, you know, you end up being a mentor, you end up being, you know, you start a podcast and you're giving advice on the podcast, you know, you start some kind of group, you know, and you know, your full disclaimer, you say like, I'm not a trained therapist or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But this is my experience. Like, this is stuff I've gone through, you know, this is where I'm at. This is my approach to things. You know, this is my, whatever it is, spiritual journey, or my mental health journey, or my physical health journey, or, you know, whatever it is. And you might find that people really just resonate with where you're at, and much more than any kind of professional, you know, person. And they yearn for your, like, they, you know, the world needs your advice, the world needs your support. So there's something about that. There's something about kind of seeing the treasures within you. We've got a lot of energy around with the stone circle, the sacred landscape. This talks about kind of the landscape as a living, breathing organism, as a support system for us. Both these cards kind of talk about very similar things. We've got held sureness of the soil, unseen help, support, and community. And this card, the stone circle, the sacred landscape, talking about the landscape being, you know, like if you think of the stone circles where, you know, communities practiced rituals at the equinoxes and things like that, and the land kind of supports you, it holds you. Like, you know, ancient cultures believe this, like it's like a living thing. It's a living thing we can interact with, and it can provide that sureness of the soul. It can provide that support. Like Mother Earth is there to support us. And I feel like this card also talks about balancing your like your output and your energy, and being in tune with your body and your body's needs, and treating your, like, it's like your body as landscape. Like, what support does your body need? Like, where do you need to rest? Where do you need to, you know, put action into something? So something around finding balance. And I was talking about boundaries when I was channeling. So maybe for some of you, you're kind of giving a lot, running around a lot, pouring your energy out a lot, and there's kind of this need to kind of also replenish your own energy, to kind of balance that, to kind of ground, to be supported yourself. That's why I feel like this held card is coming in. It's like you are worthy of receiving the support from the universe as well, both like physically in terms of people around you, emotionally, materially, and financially as well. Again, coming back to like, you can, you know, share this gift and receive support for in return for it, receive some kind of financial support in some way. It might be indirectly, or it might be something that, like I was saying with the example with Cheryl Stray, where she did the Dear Sugar column and then eventually got turned into like a book. And you know, I think now it's a TV program actually as well. I think there was a TV series that came out recently about it too. So you know, you just never know, like just tapping into that skill and sharing it. It's like you can then receive some support yourself. There is some unseen help that's out there. I feel like both your guides or like ancestors maybe are supporting you. It's like you have a lot of support around you for what you do. It's like I'm getting definite earth angel vibes here really strongly. It's like you're here in this incarnation as a bit of an earth angel, like you're a sort of guide. It's like I feel like maybe some of you were a guide before you incarnated, and then your soul chose to incarnate on the earth at this time to then be like an angel guide for people, but just here on earth. And it's possible that you may have had to go through a lot of things in your childhood, teenage years, early 20s, whatever it was, to I'm hearing like get up to play with like the density here on earth, so that you could experience all the pain and suffering that many humans have gone through, so that you would be able to fully embody the healing. And then, sorry, I just lost the connection. Fully embody the hearing. What were you saying? Fully embody the healing, and fully be able to empathize with what humans have gone through, what other humans have gone through. Yeah, it's beautiful energy. You're meant to be held, but then in turn you hold space. Like I was saying at the beginning, you hold space for others. Like you create that held space for others in turn too. But there's something around security, abundance, support, balancing your energy. It's kind of like doing this kind of work, that you do this earth angel work, but also being reciprocated in some way, shape or form, or finding some support for it. You know, it could even be that, like, for example, I'm hearing like something to do with funding. Maybe some of you start like a crowdfunding thing, or you start like a funding initiative for this community group you want to set up, or there is funding available for you through, you know, say if you're setting up a nonprofit or something, it's like there's funding available through, you know, certain initiatives or certain other corporate companies or whatever, people with a lot of money who are looking to give, you know, they're looking for nonprofits, or they're looking for charities, or they're looking for community projects to be able to give their money to. And so maybe that's something you haven't, an angle you haven't necessarily thought of, or yeah, like because the work you do, it's like very important, very unique, particularly if it's maybe to do with young people. It's like, yeah, you can maybe get funding for this. You know, it could be working, like it could be some initiative, some project around supporting trauma in young people, I'm hearing, or mental health stuff, or sexual abuse recovery, or I'm hearing like pregnancy related things, or yeah, whatever it might be. It's like you might actually be able to get funding for that. Yeah, that's kind of coming through. It might be some need to like kind of formalize something a bit with what you're doing, stepping into the next kind of level, like putting it out in the world a little bit more, getting the support. Yeah, support is a big one, like getting support from people for what you're doing. You don't have to do it alone. Like there is support out there, and I feel like you'll be guided by your guides to like the right things, the right support. There's like unseen help that's coming. It's like you can't see it yet, what's coming for you, but there is some help that's coming. We've got the security card here as well. I feel called to read from the guidebook about this one too, because there was some what was it? Interesting guidance about. Where was it? From the actual, yeah, here we go. It's very similar to this card. You are safe and protected. No matter what is occurring in your life, you are in safe hands. This is exactly what I was just saying. Those in the realm of spirit are watching over you. This card basically shows that. You can relax and let go. Once you've taken measures to protect yourself and those you love, such as making sure everyone has their seatbelt on in the car, making sure your insurance is paid on time, replacing the filter on your heating unit, then let go. If you've been hyper vigilant lately, take a break. Relax, know that all is well. You can turn it all over to the Creator. It's also talking about how like the caves were places where sacred spiritual ceremonies occurred, and I was talking about that with the stone circle as well. And symbolically, caves often represented a secret pathway to the underworld, the divine womb of Mother Earth. And we've got this like divine womb kind of picture here as well, image here. The divine womb of Mother Earth and the sacred heart. Also, caves can be energy portals for shamans or other spiritual explorers. Interesting how we've got like, yeah, the portals, the caves, and the stone circles. There could be, you might also feel called to like lead. Maybe some of what you do is going out into nature, because we've got a lot of like nature energy here with like these three cards, even the Lakshmi card as well. You know, in your companion card, this figure is like out in nature, out in the woods. And we've got these sacred landscapes, and also the cave being like the portal. So it could be one of the things you do is like leading groups, leading young people out into nature, helping them connect with nature, doing some kind of like, you know, rewilding or connecting with the land, or doing like, yeah, like wild camping, or doing even like connecting with, could be spiritual groups. With this, I'm getting not so much young people, but this could be someone who's feeling called to do like guided trips to like sacred landscapes or something, and do, you know, run, you know, like a guided meditation there, for example, or like a guided, you know, you do like you take a group of people and run like a circle, like it could be like a women's circle or a men's circle or whatever, or like you know, some kind of spiritual circle, some kind of spiritual support group for people. And you might go, like, it could be at specific times, like this stone circle card's talking about, you know, the solstices and the equinoxes, how these like you know, the stone circles were like powerful portals where people, you know, like in Glastonbury and Avebury in the UK, and Stonehenge and stuff like that, people often celebrate the major portals, right? So it could be that you are feeling called to step into doing something related to that kind of thing, like helping people go through some kind of, you know, shamanic process, like leading them through some kind of, yeah, it could be a guided meditation, or connecting with their spiritual support system, connecting with their guides, connecting with the universe, connecting with Mother Earth. You know, it could be like a pagan thing, or, you know, any number of things, but that's just potentially for a few of you. But for most of you, this message is more to do with just knowing that you are supported, that you are safe, that like support is coming for what you're doing, for this work that you're here to do. With this Magician card, Magician in the Mirror, this is talking about like you have the power within you to create your reality. Like, you know, it's like a blank canvas. It's like nothing, what you see in the mirror is just like, as in what you see in life, like what's in front of you is how you feel about yourself on the inside, or how you feel about life from the inside. So to change the outer world, to change the reflection of what you're seeing in life, you have to change the inner world. That's that infinity symbol. You know, as above, so below, as within, so without. It's like you have the power to create this abundance for yourself, the security and stability for yourself, the support, the community. If you have this vision to create this kind of community around you, or expand your community, or become a leader of your community, or whatever it is, it's like you can manifest that. You can create that. You have that creative power. And we are in, this is the number 53 reduces to 8. 8 is the infinity symbol turned upright. And we are in an 8 year, 2024. You know, we've just had Lionsgate portal, 8-8. 2024 is all about abundance, manifestation, like karma, like as in, you know, the seeds we've sown, the connection we've done with our higher self, bringing that down, you know, seeing the results on the earth plane, like actually manifesting things into the physical, stepping into our purpose more as well, going after our goals. It's all very Epona kind of things. I'm just tuning in to see if there's any other messages I've missed. How are we doing for time? Okay. I feel like that's all. Let's finish up with, I haven't used this deck for ages. This is the Spirit Junkie deck. So let's get a few cards to close with. What else is, whoa, that came out fast. Wow. Oh my gosh, this is so appropriate. What was I saying? I think it was when I was channeling about the gifts, and also with that Lakshmi abundance card, recognizing those gifts, recognizing that treasure you have within. I accept the gifts I've been given as a high service to the world. Yeah, you are meant to be here to give that as an actual service to the world, and not to the point where you get burnt out and where you just can't give it anymore and can't be of use to anyone. It's like you need to kind of find that balance between there may be a certain amount of energy you're here to give and give away, and you know, be a support system certainly to those who are close to you and those around you, but for everyone else it's like, you know, that's a service you're meant to step into. You're meant to offer that service to the world, and then, you know, eventually receive some reciprocal abundance or something like that for it. Or at least, if not, you know, if it's not, like, for example, it might be that the people you give that support to, that they're not able to give you that abundance. They might be like, you know, teens who are from troubled backgrounds or something like that, from, you know, who are in difficulty or something. So in that kind of case, it's like, you know, it may be that there's some sort of unseen help, some sort of support that's coming to help support you with that work that you're here to do with this service. It's like you're going to get the funding for it. You're going to get something that allows you to step up and lead a project about it. Like maybe there's a job or something that allows you to, yeah, like you can take the initiative on leading a project to help support this particular group, or whatever it is, or you can create the charity for it or something. If it's something like that where like you can't receive it from directly from people, or it's like you say you might do some of this work for a certain portion of society who have a bit more, like they have the means to actually pay you in like private consultations. I'm thinking, for example, like say you already are a counselor or something like that, and you do, you have sort of certain clients that are paying a certain amount, or you run certain programs or something like that, and then you carve out like one afternoon a week or one day a week or something like that, or certain sessions that are for those people in the community who don't have the means to pay for it or something like that. You know, it's like kind of finding ways to kind of still get that, create that security for yourself. You know, it was like kind of doing all this stuff, like making sure you have the, you know, fuel in the car, and like, you know, you can put food on the table, and you can take care of like paying all your bills, and, you know, all of that kind of stuff, creating that security and stability for yourself. And then from there, it's like, what can you give from that full cup? You know, I think the Lakshmi card was talking about, from a full cup, what are you able to give away, and know that it will come back to you. But there's definitely like certain gifts here that are meant to be used in service to the world. Let's get a couple more. More guidance for clue number 1. Oh my gosh, I love this. Giving your card that you chose as the companion. My friendships support me, nourish me, and inspire me. Lovely. And we have that support here with the health card. Yeah, there are people around you who can support you and nourish you and inspire you as well. It's not just for you to do that one way for everyone else. Maybe calling in, if you don't already have this around you, calling in, you know, asking spirit, I'm ready, like show me these soul friends, show me this soul family, show me the friendships, or like, you know, the friends that you already have, like, you know, asking for their support. And, you know, if it's something maybe that you're thinking of doing, like saying to them, hey, I'm thinking of setting up this initiative, or I'm thinking of setting up this business, or I'm thinking of putting, you know, creating a podcast or putting my work out there in some way, and like allowing them to then like nourish you and support you and give you encouragement and inspire you, you know, but as you do for them. I feel like, you know, as you are that companion for everyone else and that source of advice, it's like receiving that support back, allowing yourself to receive that support back. And we have, oh my gosh, I love this. When I lead from a place of love, people respect me. Yeah, definitely. You are here to lead in some way. On leading with love, I feel like, you know, it's so different. Like I was talking about in the introduction, it's totally different leadership that we're evolving into here. This is not top-down hierarchical power over dominating leadership. It's not necessarily leadership of Fortune 500 companies, though, you know, maybe one day that's the kind of thing you might do, who knows. But this is about leading with love. This is about coming from a place of, you know, feeling love for what you do, for your work, for the people around you, for humanity, wanting to support people. Yeah, leading from that place, essentially, like saying, yeah, something's got to be done. We've got to change this. These people need support. I need to give these people love. Essentially, they need the support, and you're really respected. You're really respected for doing that. Okay, my loves, I feel like those are all the messages I have for you today. I hope that gave you some encouragement and resonated for you. Hit the comment below, hit the like button below if it resonated. Let me know in the comments below if it did as well. I'd love to hear from you. It really supports my channel so much, everyone who comments, even if you just drop me an emoji. I really appreciate each and every one of you who's been doing that, and I'll always reply to my comments when I can. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already part of the community. I would love to have you here. I always post goddess readings. I usually try and post about once a week, but lately it's been a little bit less, but I promise I'll try and get to more very, very soon. I'm just playing catch up with a lot of other things that are going on. But yeah, all the best with stepping into being a leader, pile number 1, and I will see you in the next reading. All my love to you. Bye. Hi there, pile number 2. If you chose card number 8 with the Veil Walker, then this will be your reading on You Were Born to Be a Leader. So I'm just going to start with some channel messages that are coming through from this card, and then we'll get into your oracle cards that I've already pre-pulled. All right, so pile number 2. Wow, this is such powerful energy. I love this. You guys are like, I'm kind of getting a strong vibe of, I'm hearing the word seer, I guess like prophet, prophetess, seer, one who can kind of see beyond the veil. I'm getting strong Hekate vibes. Some of you might have a strong connection with Hekate, the witch goddess, crone goddess. Definitely getting that kind of crone wisdom. Doesn't mean you have to be old. Like, it doesn't mean you're necessarily, you know, like physically in your crone years. It's just that you have that wisdom. Like, it's almost like accumulated from past lifetimes. Like, regardless of how old you are, you contain that crone wisdom within you. For sure, some of you may be transitioning into a crone phase in your life as well. This card can speak to that. Essentially, it's like you've kind of embodied the wisdom of so many lives or so many experiences, and you're not afraid. It's kind of like, you know, she's going into this like dark winter forest, and she's comfortable in that like state, in that kind of transition into winter. It's that kind of descent energy. It's very like, you know, the portal of Samhain, you know, as we, you know, descend down into winter, and we are comfortable with that like silence of winter, and with the like the lack of kind of seeming any growth on the outside, like that like slow, inward, very yin energy. It's like this very powerful yin energy that you have contained within you. I'm also getting with the raven here that some of you may, I guess it's similar to what I was saying with the seer. It's like you're able to receive messages from spirit, because ravens are well, all birds really are messages for spirit, but in particular ravens. But I'm sort of also getting that kind of underworld vibe as well. It's like you can maybe for some of you, you can connect with people's ancestors, with people who've already passed over, like with even like incarnates, or like, so you might have mediumship abilities for some of you. But it's like, yeah, I'm just getting this strong Hekate kind of, it's like you can see beyond the veil, you can see you can see, you have that connection to all the worlds, like the underworld, the upper world, the earth. It's like you can see all, you know all. Also, Hekate she is a goddess who has, that she's often depicted as a triple goddess, like being able to, she has the three faces, one looking to the past, one in the present, and one looking to the future. So it's like she can see, back into the past. So it might be that you can like read people's past lives, you can read people's Akashic records, you can go into the future, you can see where they are in the present, you've got that like 360 on people. It's like you can see through things, you've got this like super perception. And so you might already do this through, you might be some kind of, like a psychic, a medium, a reader, tarot reader, astrologist, anyone who uses any kind of, it could be that you use certain divination tools, but I almost kind of get you don't really need a divination tool. It's like you just can see already, like you have that kind of, you have that clairvoyance, or that connection with the other worlds, with beyond the veil, with being able to receive messages very intuitively. I'm also kind of picking up the vibe of like the Norns as well, the three fates, the Norns, who weave fate, just with this, like, it looks like a kind of weaving spindle kind of thing here with the thread that's like flowing. It's like which weaving was associated, or is associated with prophecy. There's many stories about the goddesses of weaving, and many of them who have that gift of weaving, or have that association with weaving. They're also goddesses of prophecy. They're also goddesses who you can connect with to kind of be able to receive those prophetic visions as well. So there's kind of that energy of like weaving the future, weaving, in the three fates, or the three Norns, there were the ones who dealt with the past, the present, and the future. So it's kind of like something around being able to work with time in that way, or help people weave their destiny, or something like that, or kind of working with their past lives in some way to then like weave something for their future. Or we'll get into a bit more detail with the other cards as we delve into this a bit more. But there's something around you stepping into, being a leader with these gifts, stepping into, this wise leadership position where you can give your wisdom, you can give this like this connection you have to the other world, these messages you receive, this prophetic vision, these prophetic visions that you have. I'm also getting as well with Hekate, she's also a goddess of the crossroads and a goddess of transition as well, actually. So, she helps travelers on the road, whether that's like literally people traveling, or, metaphorically, like on our life journey, right? Like if we reach a crossroads in life, it's like, she is the one who guides us to the underworld if we need to do that descent, to like kind of reclaim and integrate those parts of our soul that have split off, so that we can kind of realign with a more authentic path. She's the goddess who can see all paths. So there could be something around like you supporting people with that kind of crossings, transitions, crossroads sort of energy, like reaching a crossroads in their life, like people going through big transitions. Maybe you provide support for like, whatever that might be, whether it's people doing a career transition, whether it's people doing like transitioning, you know, from, you know, particularly with feminine roles, right? Like transitioning into motherhood or out of motherhood into cronehood, or, you know, maybe helping with rites of passage, rituals, things like that because in Western culture, we're crap at that, right? Like, as a whole. So there could be something around that, supporting people where they're going through, yeah, big transitions, big crossroads moments, or big, you know, like could also be things like moving or marriage breakdown, or you know, supporting people with, you know, when they're becoming empty nesters or whatever it is. Or maybe, you know, so you could be some sort of like transition coach, or even just even like not even doing it sort of formally, but you find that those are the people that tend to seek you out or tend to come to you for support or advice or whatever, whether you're doing this in a formal way. Some of you might, like I said, you might be readers, you might do something like this, or an astrologer, or you know, a certain role like that, and you're already doing this kind of service in a way. Others of you may just be doing this within your lives generally, like people just come to you for this kind of thing, and you're just very naturally supportive and can help support them through big crossroads, big transitions. You know, they recognize that you have that intuitive connection. I'm also getting as well with that kind of winter energy, the way she's kind of got that like crone, goddess of winter, the ability to like kind of essentially like hold space while there is that kind of like death energy, you know, that kind of, I'm just sort of seeing the like Samhain, the Yule portals, where there's that like death that needs to happen before the rebirth, you know, of like Imbolc and spring. It's like you're kind of not scared by that. You're not scared by that death process. So for some of you, you might be, I know I have a few people in the community, because some of you have commented before, like that death being like a death doula, or just supporting people through. It could also be just like going through the dark night of the soul, right? So it could be being like a spiritual guide, spiritual mentor, shaman, something like that, where you support people through, yeah, through a sort of a certain kind of death, like through a like shamanic death process. And there's something about being like at this kind of crossroads of like the dark of the winter, of that dark night of the soul. Again, it's very kind of Hekate, like who stands at the threshold and takes, you know, Persephone into the underworld. It's like you can kind of be that guide for others. It's like, don't be scared, like come with me, it's okay, I've done this, you know, I've been there. I've gone into the depths of the underworld and many times, and like I'm, you know, I'm still here. And so you can kind of take their hand and like lead them down. Really powerful energy. I love it. Yeah, comment below if you feel called to share if this is something that you do, or if you kind of feel like you already are stepping into one of those roles, or you feel called to step into one of those roles. We've got River with Flow, card number 10. We've got the owl here, which is symbolic of wisdom. Yeah, I'm kind of feeling this as this very like feminine energy, going with the flow, like learning to like flow with the twists and turns of life. Like maybe your path has been very winding, very like very feminine, very intuitive, very like, you know, period of time you're going over here, and then it kind of bends and you go over there, and then you're sort of guided to go over here. And so, you know, all these different groups of people I was talking about, maybe sometimes you're working with one group and then another group, and then it, you know, it all kind of coalesces, and then it's kind of like this energy where, you know, you're flowing along with the river, but really, you know, the river leads back to the sea eventually, and it's like you're there to kind of help support people back to get back to source, to get back home, to get back to the sea. There's something around helping people go with that flow of life, not resist it. Yeah, particularly if they're going through a transition, right? And they might have reached a bit of a block, a crossroads, a stopping point with something, and it's like, where do I go now? And you kind of help them like carve that out, help them go with the flow, with where their like intuition is leading them. Because that, you know, river energy or water energy is the feminine. It's connected with that element is connected with the feminine. It's connected with, yeah, that, you know, that flow energy, following that intuitive guidance, following where life wants to flow you. Let's see what else we've got. We've got 2 Sacred Destiny cards for you. We've got Wisdom, and we've got more ocean energy. This is very like deep ocean as well, it looks like. It's kind of giving me Scorpio vibes. Some of you might be Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising, North Node, or even Pisces as well. Both of those signs, water signs that, you know, like to go really deep, connect with the depths of emotion, you know, the emotional side. There's a lot of deep wisdom that you hold within you that you're here to share. And we've also got wonders as well. I'm just noticing the crystals, and then also kind of the stars. So again, some of you might be connected with like astrology. You might give people a lot of wisdom through astrology, help them through big, you know, a lot of people go to get their birth chart reading done right when they're at a crossroads, when they're going through the Saturn return. That was when I had my first birth chart reading done, when I was going through my Saturn return, and I was leaving London and corporate life behind and moving to Bristol and to a life I had no idea about. And I found out then about my kind of the whole North Node, South Node thing, which I've talked about on here a lot, so I won't go into that again. But yeah, it's, you know, it could be that kind of thing where you do some kind of service, or you do some kind of providing wisdom in some way for people who yeah, they're reaching some kind of big crossroads. Like, yeah, they're going through a certain cycle, a certain ending of something, a certain, yeah, like Saturn return, or you know, the ending of a marriage, the ending of you know, their children growing up and moving out of home, or, you know, menopause, or, you know, things like that. You help people like reconnect with, the guidance of the stars is what I'm getting, or with their like inner compass in some way. So yeah, whether it's astrology, tarot, just even through just giving your own wisdom. Let's get a few more. We've got Tree of Life with connection. Let's see if these are in a shot. We have got the Wild Rose, do it your way, embrace your uniqueness, Untamed. And we have got the Temple Path, card number 12. Okay. Just realized my battery's going flat, 1 second. Okay, sorry about that, pile 2. Okay, so yeah, coming back to these cards, the Wisdom and the Wonders, yeah, I feel like there's this immense well of wisdom that you have within you, pile number 2, that you are here to share. That is part of your leadership. This part of your very specifically being a wise leader, sharing your wisdom in some way, shape, or form. It could also be something related to crystals as well, or crystals could be very supportive for you in stepping into this leadership. Particularly seeing the amethyst as well, that's connected with intuitive abilities, with the third eye and the crown chakra as well, connected with like connecting with the spiritual realm. So any crystals that help you connect with the spiritual realm, or maybe doing crystal healing where you help connect others with the spiritual realm and connecting them with their own internal wisdom, or the wisdom of like yeah, being able to connect them with their own wisdom, the wisdom of their higher self, the wisdom of the universe, the wisdom of the cosmos, kind of thing. It's like, yeah, you are that veil walker, so you can access that, and then you can also in turn help connect other people with that as well. Speaking of connection, coming down here to this card, the Tree of Life connection, this card talks about, yeah, the like interconnection of all things, and like the importance of connecting with others, and kind of not being like, the shadow of this card is isolation. And this sort of energy, this veil walker energy, particularly like if you resonate with kind of Scorpio, maybe Scorpio rising, that kind of thing, it can have a tendency towards being very isolated. It can have a tendency towards sort of being separate from the community, or keeping oneself away, because often that the more sort of spiritually sensitive you are, the more kind of able you are to kind of walk between the veils of the worlds, and kind of like you know, connecting with other spirits and all of that, with like deities, or, you know, whatever it is that you connect with. It's like that can be harder to like then sort of ground and root and earth and like connect with people, you know, in community on the earth. But there's something around like bringing that world that is beyond the veil down to earth, down to the physical realm, down to like interconnecting with others, like not being in isolation, not sort of gliding off through the woods and like kind of just having your little witch cottage like up there in the woods away from everyone else, but it's like actually coming into the community and being like seeing yourself interconnected with everyone else and like sharing your gifts with others and being a part of something. Connection is very important for you to step into this leadership role more. It's like you can't just do this in isolation. You can't just do this like this gift hasn't been gifted to you just to hold on to for yourself. It's like something that needs to be shared with others. But with this Wild Rose card, with do it your way, embrace your uniqueness untamed, the way you're meant to do this gift, or the way that you're meant to essentially step into this leadership, is going to be unique for all of you. It's going to be different for all of you. You know, you're very much on this like windy, unique road, this temple path. This card talks also about being like on a like twisty, windy road as well. It's like, you know, it's not a linear path that you're on. It's not a conventional path. It's not a path that anyone else has walked before. In fact, I think I read a quote about this very recently. It was something to do with like, if you recognize the path you're on or something, like it's a path that's, it's like, it's not your own, it's not then your own path. It's like a path that's already been created or something. I've totally botched that. I can't remember exactly how it went, but I hope you get the idea. It was kind of like, you know, if you're comfortable on a path, if you know what step to take next, if it's like really clear cut, it's like that is already a path that's been trodden. That's not doing it your own way. That's not unique. That's not the unique temple path that's here for you. It's like you're meant to, this path is meant to emerge. It's like it's something that you're meant to flow towards and like create. You're kind of co-creating it with the universe. It's completely unique. It's completely unconventional. It's completely untrodden. It's kind of like you're trailblazing this path, part number 2. Whatever this looks like for you, whatever this leadership or this whatever this role is, being this veil walker, sharing your wisdom, connecting people with the cosmos, with the other side, you know, with what's beyond the veil, you know, maybe connecting people with their spirit guides, connecting people with, you know, being able to connect with the universe and receive guidance and wisdom from the universe. You know, maybe it's connected with doing something shamanic, or doing a certain processes of like initiation or something, or connecting people with tools of spirituality like crystals, or, you know, things like that, or certain divination tools. Whatever it is, it's like, yeah, you are meant to not just do this in isolation. You're meant to kind of come into community. You're meant to connect with people. You're meant to share this gift, and do it in a completely unique way. I feel called to read from the guidebook for the temple path. Spiritual purpose and support. Yeah, you're here to give that spiritual support for people in some way, for sure. Receiving this card represents your own spiritual evolution. The winding path, there we go. Yeah, you're on that winding, flowing path. The winding path you are on leads to a blessed temple and a lovely garden, symbolizing the spiritual destiny your soul has had in mind for this lifetime. This card upright is here to tell you that what you're going through now is all part of your soul's process. You are on your karmic path and heading in the right direction, and the choices you make now are important for your personal growth and life lessons. The lights around the temple represent the spirit world, your family members and friends, angels and guides, all the loving spirit helpers who long to assist you. Call upon them and be open to their wisdom and inspiration. This is a wonderful, life-expanding time, so keep in mind your personal priorities as well as your spiritual connection. Following your higher intentions will help you move your life forward in dramatic ways, and connecting with spirit and your higher self will have a wonderful influence on all that you experience. And there's a affirmation, which is, I open my heart to my spiritual truth and a deeper connection with spirit. Guidance and inspiration come freely and easily to me. Yeah, guidance. You're definitely here to be a guide, for sure, to people. You're here to connect people with, it's almost like I'm kind of noticing, it looks like the moon up there, like connect people with their subconscious, with the moon, with you know, spirit, with the other side, with, you know, like their higher selves, whatever it is, with the feminine, with, you know, yeah, just the cosmos, whatever it might be. It's like with spirit, essentially, with God, Goddess, however you want to call it, however you want to phrase it. It's like, yeah, you're here on the earth, you're meant to like ground and root here, and then provide that support, that like be that kind of earthly source of support for others, so that they can receive that wisdom as well. You're here to be a spiritual guide for sure. Pile number 2. Yeah, I'm just kind of getting like you're here to guide people to that temple, like you're here to guide people to, it's like the temple, it's not a physical place though, really. It's kind of like the temple that lives inside them. You're here to guide people to that connection with spirit that lives inside themselves, is what I'm getting. So yeah, being some kind of guide, a mentor, like a shaman, a spiritual coach, spiritual mentor, whatever you want to call it. And some of you, I kind of get pretty strongly with this pile, most of you are using this more as a confirmation of what you already know. And I feel kind of like for many of you, you're already on this path in some way. It's maybe just kind of having that confirmation or having that courage to kind of like really embrace the unique way that you're meant to carry out this path. Like, don't be tempted to kind of follow other spiritual gurus or spiritual leaders or spiritual teachers or whatever. It's like you're meant to do this your own way. Like, you have your own kind of brand of wisdom, your own like unique outlook, your own unique personality and everything, and like your own unique path. And you'll have unique clients and everything who will respond to that when you're kind of fully embodying like your own uniqueness. I'm kind of getting as well with the untamed as well. It's like not doing this through any kind of formal thing. Like I don't sense this as something where you would do it through a formal organization or like receive, like say for example, if you're doing like astrology or kind of something along those lines, or even like meditation, teaching people meditation or something. It's like you wouldn't necessarily do it through a set organization or a set way or like a set method, or like going and learning from someone and getting some kind of certification, like, oh, I've trained at this school or something. It's like maybe you did that already, but it's like you're going to create your own way. You're meant to do this your way. You've got your own like intuitive insight into all of this. And again, I kind of get the vibe that you already know this, and it's just kind of having the courage to like fully follow that, fully embrace it, fully embody this role of being like the crone, the wise one, the seer, the guide, the mentor, the teacher. It's like, yeah, you can claim that title. You have the wisdom, you have the connection to the universe. Let's get a few affirmation cards to finish. I haven't used this deck in ages. This is a Spirit Junkie deck. We have got, my genuine desire to serve clears the path for me to step into my purpose. I love this. Okay, yeah, you're here to serve spirit, I feel like, pile number 2. And your purpose is, yeah, this spiritual purpose is this temple path. And it's like, yeah, kind of recognizing that you're here to connect with and serve humanity. You know, we've got this figure who's like this tree kind of holding her arms up, like, I'm here, I'm grounded, I'm here on earth, like, come to me, like, whoever's meant to come to me kind of thing. Whoops, wow, that one wanted to come out as well. I see grace and possibility in all of life's challenges. Yeah, so maybe some of you are going through a bit of challenge at the moment, so it's seeing the possibility in that you can kind of, you know, like that crone energy, it's like you can turn those challenges into wisdom, into like, yeah, into power that you can then share with others. The way that you've navigated that challenge, or all challenges in your life, is like there's possibility, and then like using that experience for your good. I'm willing to see my sameness with others. This opens my awareness to oneness. Yeah, it's interesting. You've got Tree of Life with connection and all about the interconnectedness, and then oneness. Yeah, so maybe there's a feeling of like, with that gift that you have with being this veil walker, maybe some of you have felt very different from everyone else and felt very separate from the rest of humanity, and like not at one with people, or not like, or like people won't understand you. Because, you know, often when you are, you know, a starseed or a light worker, or you're very like highly sensitive soul, very empathic, very highly attuned to like the spiritual world, until you kind of find your true community. Quite often you can feel like a bit of a lone wolf, right? Like you're very different, like, particularly if, you've grown up in a family or a culture or people around you who, maybe denigrated that gift, those intuitive abilities, that kind of feminine, that feminine intuitive, like going with the flow of life, like feeling very, called to follow your spirit. It's like maybe everyone in your life does things in a very conventional way. Which I think is why this card is coming out about the wild rose, do it your way, embrace your uniqueness, be untamed. Like you're not meant to follow that conventional path. And I think you know that like already, but that may have served to then make you feel very different from others. And so there's something around like reconnecting with your sameness with others and opening your awareness to oneness. Like, yes, you do have these unique gifts. You are a very unique soul, and you have this like ability to kind of like connect with the other, beyond the veil, the other realm, that kind of thing. Like maybe again from a young age you might have had very unusual abilities, like mediumship abilities and things like that from a young age. But it's like, we're all souls incarnated on earth, and we're all at different stages of waking up, of awakening. But everyone is a soul, and everyone has the capacity to kind of like connect with that intuition, maybe in different ways. Maybe not everyone is like has the ability to be a medium, but everyone has the ability to kind of like connect with spirit or connect with their intuition. And we're all interconnected. We are all one. So there's something around sort of like coming back into that sense of like connection with people, with that oneness with others. Not focusing so much on the difference. We've got guidance is available to me now. I know that angels, ancestors, and spirit guides are always at hand. I do not walk alone. Yeah, that was exactly what I was reading out, I think, with the Temple Path card. It was saying about calling on your, I think it was that card. I'm pretty sure I was just reading that out. Card number 12. Am I going mad? Yeah. The lights around the temple represent the spirit world, your family members and friends, angels and guides, all the loving spirit helpers who long to assist you. Call upon them and be open to their wisdom and inspiration. So both of these things are saying exactly the same thing. Guidance is available to me now. I know that angels, ancestors, and spirit guides are always at hand. I do not walk alone. So yeah, if you are feeling a little bit lost yourself, quite often with this type of work is sometimes we can be very good at doing it for others and guiding other people through crossroads and challenges and transitions and all of that kind of thing, and connecting with their spirit guides and connecting in with spirit and their intuition, all of that. And sometimes it can be really hard to kind of practice that for our own self, because like it's kind of like you can't see your own nose kind of thing. It's like it's hard to see what's right in front of you, or it's hard to see our own path. Sometimes we need someone else to kind of reflect it back to us. So maybe for you it's actually even going and if you're struggling to kind of hear the guidance from your guides, like even receiving a reading for yourself, even though you may well be very intuitive, even if you are a reader yourself, I still get readings from other people. I read for myself regularly. Well, I say regularly, occasionally. I read for myself occasionally, but again, because like I can't, it's like when you read for yourself, or when you kind of download things for yourself, you may not be seeing the full picture, and sometimes it takes like going and getting a reading or something from someone else to kind of like see yourself more clearly or see your path more clearly. So it could be for some of you getting something, from someone else to help you connect with the guidance if you're kind of struggling to like, if you're here to step into some kind of leadership with all of these gifts, but you're not quite sure how or like what the next step is. It's like, maybe getting, maybe getting like a guided reading or whatever it might be. But for most of you, you have that strong intuitive connection already. You don't really need it from the outside. It's just trusting what's coming through, like trusting that you're supported, trusting that your spirit guides are always there, that guidance is available to you. It's always, like it says, it's always at hand. Ask for synchronicity, ask for a sign, ask for guidance to come even in overnight, and then do some stream of consciousness journaling in the morning. That's how I often do it if I'm a little bit unclear on what's coming through. Sometimes then it will just come out on the page. So yeah, you do not walk alone. Yeah, again, you're connected. You are connected with your guides. You're connected with others. You're not alone here. So this is about like really re-establishing that connection, particularly on this path, because it can get very solitary. It can get very it can be very easy to focus on your difference. But yeah, you're one. You don't walk alone. Spirit is here to support you through what your next steps are with this, but you're very much here to step into being a leader for others in some way and sharing your wisdom and your gifts, helping do that like deep dive, connecting people with the underworld, connecting people with what's beyond the veil. That's very much part of your life journey, pile number 2. Okay, I feel like those are all the messages I have for you. Thank you so much for letting me read for you today. Drop me a comment below, even if it's just an emoji, to let me know how it resonated. I always love to hear from you, and I'll always comment back when I can. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the reading. It helps tell the algorithm to send my readings around to others who it might support as well. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already part of my community. I would love to have you here. All the best with your journey, and I will see you in the next reading. Oh my love, bye. Hi there, pile number 3. If you chose card number 2 with the Priestess, whoops, this will be your reading on You Were Born to Be a Leader. Okay, so pile number 3, I'm just going to start with some channel messages that are coming through from this card, and then we'll move on to your other oracle cards, which I've already pre-pulled. So let's begin. Pile number 3, you have so much wisdom here available to you with this owl being right on your shoulder. It's like you came into this lifetime with so much beautiful wisdom. I feel like you have this like priestess archetype already within you. Maybe some of you might identify with, potentially having connection with sort of traditions like Atlantis and things like this, or like even prehistoric traditions, or even like things like Greece and Egypt and places where they had these strong traditions of priestesshood. You might have a real connection with some of those cultures, or with some of those with that role, because you may have like an actual, like you may have had past lives being a priestess, right? You may have actually been a priestess before. I feel like for many of you, you probably have. If you're drawn to this pile, it's very like kind of ancient energy that's like embedded in yourselves, and you have this ability to connect people to the divine feminine, to connect people to their soul, to connect people with their inner wisdom, with that feminine wisdom, right? That intuitive wisdom. That is very much the role of the priestess, is like, holding space for and really being so connected with your intuition that you can like activate others to feel connected with that feminine side of themselves, with that intuition that gets really suppressed in our culture, right? But we all have this capacity to connect with that element of ourselves, with that gift. We all are able to connect with that feminine energy, that divine feminine consciousness, with that that sort of ability to receive that intuitive wisdom and navigate our lives with it. So for some of you, it may be that you are already doing this in some way. Maybe you are fulfilling this role as a priestess already in some form, like you're already kind of living an intuitive led life, like helping people tap into their intuition, receiving that divine feminine wisdom, or living in a very feminine way, like very connected with divine feminine consciousness and bringing that consciousness through you in some way. I feel like many of you do this very organically anyway, but there's this stepping up that's being called for here with this wise leadership. It's like Spirit's wanting, or the goddess is wanting to come through and like use you as a vessel in a way. Like you are an embodiment of that divine feminine energy. You are like a vessel of divine feminine energy. That is the role of the priestess, is to kind of like be a channel, right? Be a vessel, be an embodiment, like open up to the goddess, to the divine feminine energy, to that like feminine consciousness, to that intuitive, that like higher intuition that can come through you, and be a support to others. I'm just seeing here with this figure how they're in a cave. It's kind of like giving me a vibe of like holding a safe space for people. So maybe some of you feeling called to create some kind of sanctuary, some safe space. It could be, many priestesses of old, they were healers, right? They were kind of the energy healers. Like people would come to the temples and the priestesses would help them process through things. So it was kind of like, you know, maybe you're being called to, or you might be going through a bit of a process of remembrance of that. You might be having many, like, a sort of awakening of these like past lives where you were a priestess, or like just having this sort of organic remembrance of when you were doing this type of role in the past, like holding space for others. You know, it could be being something like doing, it could even be doing something like this, like doing readings, like you're, you know, you might have a strong psychic sense, strong intuitive sense, where you're able to bring through like intuitive readings for people, or it's like connecting people in with their with their like feminine side, with their sacred sexuality, or like kind of stripping back any kind of religious shame or trauma, or just connecting people with like, a certain god, like, you know, particular goddess tradition, or even many goddesses, or that just generally goddess consciousness, or a way to kind of connect with that goddess or divine feminine energy in order to use it, you know, to provide support for like day-to-day life, like kind of almost being like a modern day kind of, you know, because this is, you know, about like bringing this into the modern day, right? It's like, how do we use those skills for, you know, where we're at now as a culture, or where we're at in society now. So there's something around kind of like taking that ancient remembrance, taking that, all that wisdom that you've come into this lifetime with from many past incarnations, and then figuring out how to step into being this leader, this wise leader, and use that wisdom to actually share with people so that it can support their lives now. You know, one of the things that connecting with that feminine energy is about is the cycles, right? Connecting them with the cycles, like the moon cycles, you know, it could even be astrology, you know, or connecting with like the rhythms of nature, connecting with Mother Earth again, you know, being reconnected to the earth. And how do we do that, and how do we live in tune with the earth, and honor the rhythms and seasons of the earth? You know, that is one of it can be one of the aspects of being a priestess. So yeah, it could play out, it could be expressed in many different ways. There could be a particular niche that you could be more focused on, that you could feel more called to support, you know, particularly supporting women with a particular thing. Like it could be working with women who might have very much suppressed their feminine energy. They may have you know, certain issues with reproductive system, a lot of sacral chakra blocks. So that might be something that you've experienced in your life and healed and worked through. Another goddess is like, okay, now pile 3, it's time for you to be this priestess. It's time for you to step up and like support people in this way, or support women in this way, you know, hold space, like be a healer in this particular way, you know, help like heal that feminine energy, help heal that kind of like feminine sexual power. It could be doing it from a more, you know, a little bit like aspects of what I do with like my blog, where it's like writing about the goddesses, or connecting in with, you know, like the mythology and the archetypes, and like, you know, unpacking those and looking at them from different angles, and like how the goddess can support you in it, you know, in your day-to-day life. Or it could be, you know, any number of things. It's like you could be called to express this in a different, in a way that's unique to you, I feel like. But there's just a lot of wisdom here, and also this, it's like you have that remembrance, I feel like, within you. If you've been drawn to this part, it's like you have this remembrance awakening within you, if it hasn't already, where it's like, yeah, I've done this before, I've been here before, I've been a priestess in a past life. You know, you have a strong, chances are, right, if you're on this channel, you have a strong connection with the goddess, with the goddesses. It could be a particular goddess, or a particular lineage or tradition, a particular culture, or just generally. But there's something where you're meant to kind of really step up to like being this vessel now for the divine feminine, like holding space in some way, creating some kind of sanctuary, or some kind of putting some kind of work out in the world that's bringing that goddess consciousness, that divine feminine consciousness, or that feminine way of being, that intuitive way of being down here onto the earth. Let's have a look at your other cards. This is very powerful energy. I'm loving it already. So we've got Cairn Portal to the Mystery, card number 15. Yeah, that's like what I was saying about you being a vessel. It's like you, and we've got 2 kind of caves here. It's like, you know, the feminine energy has been very suppressed. It's been very repressed. It's been sort of, secreted away, right? If you think of the whole like Magdalene, she was priestess of Isis, and she, kept all the mysteries of the priest of that, lineage. And then, she secreted them away, and she, had to flee to France and all of that. And it's like, there's a lot of wisdom that's been like kind of buried and suppressed, and it's like become the mysteries, right? And it's like, you are this portal kind of thing. Like you like your body is this portal, like you as an embodiment of that divine feminine wisdom. You have access to this mystery, and you're here to kind of like bring access to that for other people. It's like you're here to awaken them to that, to the mysteries, to the divine feminine energy, to everything that's been kind of buried and suppressed and pushed away, and disconnected in our culture. And it's all waking back up now. I mean, look at how many, we only have to look at, it's even kind of happening slowly but surely in a mainstream way, in the sense that like, look at how many goddess mythology books have come out in the last few years, ever since, I think Madeline Miller's Circe was one of the first ones. And like now there's so many, and they're so popular. And, there's just so much of that kind of thing that's waking up in mass consciousness, where there's this like desire to reclaim these goddesses, to like reclaim their stories, to retell their narratives. It's like what I was saying, it's kind of what I do on my blog. It might be something similar for you. It might be connecting with it in that way. It might be telling their story. It might be, it could be writing, could be why I'm talking about this, because you're being called to write about it. But for many of you, it'll be, it's like you're this portal, you're this embodiment, you're this vessel for the divine feminine. Let's get your other cards. Power. I was definitely picking up strong power in this pile, strong, powerful energy. It might be that you're getting, with that kind of lightning striking there, it's like, it might be that you're getting a lot of like epiphanies about this, a lot of like sudden awakenings. That might be quite stormy. It might be quite difficult, because you might be, happy. You might have been happily going along your path, doing something completely different, as I was. Like many of you know, I used to work in media and corporate. I was doing nothing like this. I had no connection with spiritual stuff. I loved doing classics at school and uni, and that was about as far as the goddesses went for me. It was purely intellectual and just it was just like mythology. It didn't have any application to my life. And actually, I was just talking about this with another reader recently, and we were talking about the Goddesses in Every Woman book by Jean Sinead Bolin, and that was one of the first books that kind of woke me up to like the goddess as an archetype that you could connect with, as this like part of this collective unconscious, like the Jungian archetypal like force that we all sort of invest this energy into. And that kind of started a bit of an awakening, a bit of these like kind of epiphanies. And then more and more I was guided to more and more goddess books and more goddess resources, and then like joining women's circles and awakening circles and on and on and went, and now doing it myself. And which is mad to think, because like I said, like 10 years ago I was doing something completely different. So some of you might be in a similar place where you've been going along this totally different path, not really paying any heed to this whole priestess thing. Like it's kind of not something that you were planning to do, right? And then suddenly you're just getting these downloads, these epiphanies, these awakenings, these remembrances of like, wow, like I used to do this. And you're kind of maybe coming across a lot of resources. You're, like podcasts, videos, like interviews, certain things about, this, about other, from other priestesses or other people who've like, had similar kind of awakenings or coming across similar wisdom traditions I'm hearing, or like certain knowledge, certain things. There's a great podcast a friend of mine sent to me recently with Layla Martin and, oh my gosh, I can't remember her name. She's a meditation, Emily Fletcher, I think her name is. And they were talking about, they went to somewhere in Greece, I forget where. They, in this particular podcast, they were talking about that journey and about how like the priestesses used to, the roles that they used to have in society, and then how they got this, sort of these deep understandings and like epiphanies and awakenings when they were there. And these are women who kind of already work in that type of field, right? And they're still getting these like, bringing this wisdom through, like unlocking it, untapping it, like getting these downloads. So there's an awakening going on, right? There's a collective awakening going on. So I feel like you're part of this. You're here to step into your power. There's like, you have a lot of power within you already. And I feel like that is being awakened at this time. We have also got mountain with presence. Yeah, you've got this beautiful presence. It's interesting, we've got mountains pictured in this card as well. And the lightning is like striking this mountain. And then we've got mountain with presence. Just interesting, we've got a rainbow here. We've got the sun and then rain coming down, and then a rainbow, which, you know, is symbolic of like, you know, the rainbow comes after the rain, right? Like it's purification with the rain, and then you get the rainbow as like this beautiful natural phenomenon in nature that occurs after, like, you know, that cleansing and after that purifying. And I'm just seeing this, like, it looks like very kind of maternal, nurturing energy with this card. It's almost like this figure's kind of like holding something, and it's bringing me back to like with that cave and like holding space for, like, being someone who can hold space for others to come to you with whatever it is that they're going through, like trauma or pain, or, you know, past life pain, even soul fragmentation, you know, whatever it might be. And again, it'll be different for all of you. You all have your unique sort of like clients, potentially, if you're doing this already as work, or like your unique groups of people that you're meant to work with in some way. But it's like, yeah, you have this strong presence. I feel like you already know this. You have this magnetism where people come to you, and it's because you have this priestess energy. You have that priestess like signature within you, so people know like they can bring their like troubles to you. They can bring their like things for like, they can go to you for spiritual healing, essentially, is what I'm getting. Like they can turn to you for that. Like you'll supply that kind of solace for them. Just check this is in the shot. There we go. We've got plant yourself here with integration, embodiment, and grounded action. Yeah, I love this. So we've got this very like kind of wise, you know, kind of almost esoteric, very like deep, ancient energy, like divine feminine kind of consciousness energy, and the sky energy with the lightning. And then we've got these two cards that are very like grounded and very rooted, like mountain, solid, like support. You know, it's like you're this support system for people. You have this beautiful presence where people can come to you. With this plant yourself here, I feel like, yeah, grounded action. There's some action that needs to be taken towards stepping into this leadership role. And also a little bit of integration as well. I think I was just saying something about integrating, reintegrating. So there may be something about you yourself actually integrating this priestess archetype within you, like fully integrating it and fully stepping into it, fully embodying it, fully owning that role, and then taking the grounded action you need to take to kind of like, you know, essentially, like, I guess, find your tribe, for want of a better phrase, or like connect with the people that you're meant to work with, connect with your audience, depending on, you know, what you're meant to put out there and how you're meant to do that, like which platforms you're meant to work on, whether you're meant to like work in person or online, or create a space that people come to and where you do healing, or whether you're meant to do more like a podcast, or a bit of all of those things, or like do retreats, or do like you know, classes or workshops, or, you know, whatever it is, connecting people to that energy, or to that healing, or to that intuition, that feminine side of themselves, however you're meant to do that, whatever. And it would be really using your own journey, right, with it, like what has influenced your journey with connecting with the feminine, and then how can you alchemize everything you've been learning, everything you've discovered, everything you've remembered, right? Everything that's been like awakened and activated in you. And then how can you take that and then turn it in, like take the grounded action to turn it into something to support others. And then finally we have woman holding a heart with card number 44. This card talks about like possibly a mentor, having a mentor, or someone who can help work through like emotions and love and like, or family things, or like issues, just kind of like any sort of emotional issues, which is similar to what I was talking about. I think I was saying earlier with the Priestess card about that holding space for people. about being someone who like, and same with this mountain presence card, this sort of almost like she's kind of looks like she's cuddling someone or like holding someone. It's like holding sacred space for people to come to like release their emotions, to process their emotions, to feel safe in their expressing of their emotions or connecting with their emotional side. For many of us, again, that aspect of ourselves gets suppressed, it gets denied, it gets shut down, it gets ridiculed, it gets denigrated in our culture a lot, that kind of feminine energy, or that, our intuition, our emotional intelligence, all of that kind of thing. It's not really, as part of our dominant culture, it's not really encouraged. We're very much in this sort of patriarchal culture encouraged towards a more rational, logical way of operating. That's breaking down. That is shifting and breaking down. It's going through a big tower moment, and this feminine consciousness, this more emotional, intuitive way of operating and leading is starting to break through. It's starting to come back through, and that's one of the things that you're here to embody and to model and to hold space for others to be able to kind of connect with that side of themselves. So I feel like that person that this card is talking about, I'll read the little phrase in here, because I feel like that's you. It's like you being this person to help people connect with their heart, to be able to live with like their heart on their sleeve, to be able to live from that authentic place, to live a like heart-led life. We've also got a butterfly here, which is symbolic of transformation. So there's something about you, like, really being this, you have the power to help people transform, right? To help take people from that like little caterpillar, like conditioned life, in turning into that beautiful butterfly where they have that freedom. This card upright could also indicate the presence of a female friend, teacher, or confidant who's here to help with issues of love, family, or emotion. This is an even-tempered and caring person who resonates with you and your emotions. Yeah, that's you. I feel like you are that person who can help people with those aspects of life. And like I said, you might do that in different ways. For some of you, it could be being like a reader. It could be being just someone who holds space for people. It could be being like a sort of a counselor type thing, but like a spiritual counselor, a spiritual guide, a mentor. It could be that you give advice on that kind of thing through some kind of platform, through creating your own community. It could be any number of things, but it's like, you help people connect with that. It's like things that are buried, that mystery energy. It's like things that are it's shadow work. That's kind of what it is. That's where this is going. It's like connecting people with things that have been suppressed, aspects of themselves, their psyche, their consciousness that's been like pushed into the shadow. And it's like you help bring light to that. You help bring illumination to that. You help shine the light of awareness and like love and compassion and that divine feminine energy. And you know intuitively how to do this. It's like very natural, and people know that. It's like you have that presence with that mountain and presence card there. It's like you embody that presence, and so you may find that you already naturally attract people to you for this purpose, and it may be something that you just organically do in your life anyway. I noticed that happening for me to a certain extent many years ago, and then that propelled me to start to take the steps, or the goddess pushed me really, because I didn't really want to at that time. I wasn't really in the place to, and I didn't feel confident to, but I was very much nudged, given a kick up the backside towards like formalizing that aspect, where people were kind of organically coming to me for that kind of thing. I started getting asked to, teach on this kind of stuff, or to like, do things like readings, or hold space for people in certain ways, or to do healing, or, and so slowly and gradually I got called into stepping into this role more and more, but it was like not my plan. It just wasn't my plan at all. So kind of coming back to this card where I was saying that this might be like these sudden epiphanies, these sudden awakenings, these sudden rememberings, these sudden nudges of like, I have to do this, and this is what I'm being kind of like nudged to do. It's like this kind of power of the goddess like suddenly coming through you. You're this portal, this channel, this embodiment, this vessel for that energy, and it's like it has to go somewhere, right? Like you can't hold it within you. It kind of will implode. It's like it'll be too much. It's like it has to be kind of something that you sort of give to others. It's like you're like this card was talking about, you know, the presence of a confidant, you know, and that is very much what the priestess was, right? You know, like so often, you know, they were this confidant for like, you know, even like kings and, you know, rulers and, you know, the politicians of the age, like they would come and actually see the priestesses to get that confirmation on things, to get that intuitive guidance, to get that like wisdom from the gods, from the goddesses that the priestess could bring down. They could channel that, and you know, it would help guide the rulers, you know, on what to do. That was their role. And so, you know, and we're kind of seeing this now in a way with like, you know, on a certain level, you know, with look at how many YouTube readings there are, right? Look at how many readers there are. Look at how much this sort of intuitive, this connection with these tools, with, you know, this being like a channel, being, you know, connected to, like being able to bring psychic information down, like all of that stuff. It's like starting to awaken more and more and more. And it's, yeah, it's like you're here to be that. There's definitely some crossovers with pile 1 because they are also here to kind of hold space, but pile 1 is a little bit more doing it in the capacity of like maybe something perhaps a little bit more traditional, or you know, like being a counselor, maybe working with like troubled teens or disadvantaged youths or something like that, whereas this is very spiritual. It's very like being a spiritual leader, a priestess, like more specifically like connecting people with the feminine, connecting people with intuition, connecting people with, you know, being able to access that unconscious and like work with their shadow, reintegrate that. You know, so there's maybe a little bit of crossovers with things like counseling and psychotherapy and stuff, but it's like very much from a spiritual angle, or like infused with a spiritual, like grounded in kind of like in a connection to like the mystery traditions, or like, you know, divine feminine learnings, teachings, things like that. So it's, yeah. But yeah, it'll be, like I said, it'll be really different for all of you, how this plays out, or how you are called to step into being this priestess, how you're called to step into being this kind of confidant. And yeah, for some of you, it could look like being a channel. Some of you, it could look like doing something like this, like doing readings. For some of you, it could be, yeah, teaching in some way, being a mentor, holding space. It could be healing, doing some kind of energy healings, any number of things. Particularly, I'm definitely getting quite strongly working with women, but it could, for some of you, it might be different. Some of you may be working with men to help them awaken their masculine energy. Their feminine energy, I should say. Yeah, it could be working with, or you know, harmonizing divine masculine, divine feminine energy. It'll be different for all of you. But so integration, embodiment, grounded action. Invite your soul to come all the way in, from your knees to your nose, your cheeks to your toes. Fully embody your life. Drop the defensive walls. Let your soul land and occupy each and every cell. Anchor all parts of you into the here and now. Life is here even when death is here. Birth isn't possible without it, and you came here to birth this world anew. Don't you remember? Fully commit to living this life. Put your 2 feet and your ancient soul wholly and completely in. This is the card of the one who's committed to being the bridge between heaven and earth, the embodied mystic. They know that they don't need to denounce either heaven or earth, rather they are a weaver of worlds, here to embody their soul more and more with each new day, here to weave the sacred back into everyday life. This card is an invitation to commit more fully to your life as a soul having a human experience, to invite your soul to grow roots that reach deep so that you can grow tall, to commit to your humanity and your expansion at once. The rose invites us to embrace all stages of life on earth, from the buzz to the bloom, from the cutting back to the fruit. Her beauty and sweet scent are an embodiment of heaven. a nectarous reward for being here. The rose reminds us to take a moment to properly enjoy the sweetness and that heaven really can be a place on earth. And the soul inquiry is, how can you commit more to your life? Love it. Yeah. So there's just, I feel like this is all kind of stuff that you know and you're already embodying in a way, but it's just like fully committing to it, fully integrating it, fully stepping into it, owning it, starting to take that grounded action towards it. So I'm gonna pull a few affirmation cards. So while I'm just shuffling, if I can ask you guys to like the video, comment below, even if it's just an emoji, it really helps my channel so much to grow. Really appreciate each and every one of you who's been doing that. Subscribe to the channel if you are not already part of my community. I would love to have you here. Check out my website, alicetemple.com, and also sign up to my newsletter, where I do a newsletter every new moon and full moon about the Cosmic Goddess updates, and also I announce all my new programs. Actually, for some of you, if you're feeling called to step into this, I feel called to say that I'm actually rehashing my whole Moon Temple membership, and there are going to be some resources to support those of you who are stepping onto this High Priestess path. It's something that I have been called to do for a while, and it's kind of I've been doing it a little bit on my Patreon. I did have a High Priestess tier on my Patreon, but now I'm going to be doing it through my Moon Temple membership. So there's a page on there where you can sign up to my newsletter, or even just when you go on my homepage, it doesn't really matter where, you can sign up to my newsletter, and I will put all the news on there. I'll also come onto YouTube and put it on the community tab as well once it goes live. And so yeah, if you're feeling called to kind of step into this path a little bit more, or really really integrate it, really own it, really start committing to it, then those resources are designed for exactly those of you who are kind of at that stage. So check that out if you feel called. It should be going live in the next kind of month or so. Alrighty, so let's finish up with your affirmations cards. We've got, I can forgive people quickly, release my resentment, and set myself free. I feel like this is more something that you help other people do. You know, where I was saying about being like someone who is a confidant, someone who can help people with their emotions, with family, with love, with like transformation, with meeting the shadow. I feel like forgiveness, but also maybe helping people forgive themselves. You know, it's that kind of priestess thing where people would go to the priestesses to like, the soldiers would go after battle, right? And the priestesses would help them to like transmute their pain, their trauma, their, everything they'd gone through. And like, yeah, I guess like sort of purge their soul in a way. So yeah, helping people like helping people forgive themselves, release resentment. But maybe for some of you, there is a bit of a process of doing this yourself, setting yourself free in some way. We've got, I send a prayer of love to all beings in need of a miracle. Yeah, this could be like, sending a prayer, being someone who, sends that prayer to the goddess, just sends that prayer to the universe to help people who are in need of a miracle, to help people who are really struggling. This has come out over this portal to the mystery card, where that like people are in the dark, they're like, have a lot in their shadow, and you're helping them like transmute that, helping them sort of go through some kind of transformation with the butterfly. We've got, I breathe calmly and easily, I'm safe in this moment. Again, I feel like this is more about you providing that safety, speaking about the cave at the beginning, and we've got portal as well. It's like you providing that safe space, that sanctuary, that safety for others. But of course that comes from you embodying that, and we've got embodiment here, embodying that within yourself first. So that may be that there's a little bit of work there around, finding that safety within. But as you gain consistency with that frequency, like as you start to more consistently embody a sense of safety within yourself and feel safe within, like with your own spiritual connection, with your own power, with your own intuition, and really trusting that and feeling that it's safe to follow that, you in turn are like, can model that, lead that for others, so that they feel safe with you as well in turn. And we've got, I trust, yes, exactly. I trust that my intuition is always leading me in the right direction. So yeah, this one in particular, like you are very intuitive, pile number 3, and your intuition, the goddess, all of that is leading the universe, however you want to see it, is leading you in the right direction. You are getting these epiphanies, these little nudges in a certain direction. So just trust what your intuition is calling you to do. Trust the direction it's calling you to go in. And again, I feel like also this is something you help other people to do. You help others to tap into that intuitive power within them to go in the right direction for them as well. So again, whether that's doing something like tarot, astrology, you know, holding space, energy healing, just providing intuitive guidance for people, whatever it is, it's like you're here to kind of step into that being a leader of how to follow your intuition, and that like is modeling it for others so that they feel confident following their intuition as well. I'm hearing one more. Whoa, okay, it's going on the floor. Hold on. Yeah, exactly. These are all just kind of confirming what I've been saying. So compassion is my compass. I'm willing to hold space for the experience of others. That's exactly what I was saying with the Priestess right from the beginning, and I've circled back to it multiple times about holding space for others. And there, for some of you, if you felt drawn to pile 1, there may be a little bit of a crossover between pile 1 and pile 3, because I did speak quite a bit about with pile 1, there was that energy of holding space for others as well. But again, I feel like that was more to do with like kind of, yeah, in a more sort of role, like a formal role like counseling or working with young people, whereas this is like spiritual guidance, spiritual mentorship, helping people transmute trauma, helping people connect with that feminine energy, particularly transmute any pain related to like any kind of trauma connected with the feminine, with that like feminine energy within. But yeah, just generally speaking, holding space, that is that Priestess energy. It's like your presence is healing. Your energy field, your whole presence is healing, to be in connection with that, for someone to kind of come and be in that safe space that you hold, that is automatically helps them transmute through that pain. You're very compassionate, you're very understanding, you're very intuitively guided. So you're able to, like, you know, work with that goddess energy, work with your intuition, work with your higher self to kind of like help hold space for others. And with that compassion as my compass, it's like your intuition and your compassion is leading you in the right direction. So if you feel compassionate about a specific thing, about a specific, like say a certain type of trauma or a certain like group of people or a certain experience that people have been going through, and chances are it will be relatively closely related to something you've gone through, right? Because very often we don't get put in situations where we're holding space for others if it's like totally unrelated to something that we've ever gone through. I mean, sometimes some souls have a sort of level of empathy or a level of compassion or a level of experience on a soul level that they can kind of handle anything. But most of the time it's like who you get called to serve, who you get called to hold space for, are usually people where like, you know, you can draw on your own experience. You have that like lived experience, that so you can really empathize, you can really be compassionate for their experience because you might have gone through something similar. It doesn't have to be exactly the same, right? You know, you can still find empathy, but yeah, I feel like that will be your compass. So like where you feel called to particularly reach out and help people with what they're going through, it's like that's your compass. That's going to lead you in the direction of like who you're meant to work with, of who you're meant to step into being a leader, so that these people can find you. Okay, my loves, those are all the messages I have for you. Thank you so much for letting me read for you today. It's been an absolute honor and a privilege to connect with your energy, your super powerful souls. Do not forget that. All the best. Don't forget to comment below, like the video, and subscribe. All my love to you, and I will see you in the next reading. Bye.